What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. We're here with our guest star, Mr. Spooky. He just wanted to hang out with us today while we did our video. And what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about playoff projections for college sports. Also, we got this funny meme that I saw on social media today about the abysmal Big Ten West playing for that big spot against Michigan or Ohio State in the later in the season, and it's like the battle of the mid. Yeah, Iowa did win over the weekend. That was pretty cool. 22-0. Yeah, they had some offensive passes. They threw the ball. That was cool. But yeah, Iowa's in control of their own destiny. If they went out, they're in. Like, easy. But anyway, we're going to move on from this, but I thought it was just funny. I wanted to share with you guys. First conference we have up is the ACC. There's really only two players here. These two players are the only teams that would make it into the playoffs if they were to win out. Maybe. Louisville's on maybe. Louisville is a very big maybe because SEC also has a one-loss team. And generally the committee likes to on the SEC a little bit. And but yeah, Florida State, if they win out and they win the ACC, they're guaranteed, pretty much guaranteed in. They are playing a lot better than Washington at this point in life. Maybe Washington is under control of their own destiny here when it comes to the teams. But I do think Oregon is a better team, and I think Oregon will win. But anyway, back to the ACC. Virginia Tech played a close one with Louisville on Thursday, but Louisville ultimately came on top as the better team. Next, we're going to talk about the Big 12. The only real player is Texas. And I still have Oklahoma State up here just because they're second. They are tied for second. They're tied with Oklahoma with the 2 losses because Oklahoma State just got dogged by the UCF Knights. Just right after I made a video about the Group of 5 team. If you want to check that out, it's going to be up there in the corner there. Dogged. It was like 40-plus points for 3. I know it was raining, it was a big storm, but it's still, like, you're Oklahoma State, you live in Oklahoma, it rains there, like, come on. So anyway, Texas is in control of their own destiny. They're not a guaranteed bid to the Big 12 championship game, but they pretty much are because they don't really play anybody next. And then Oklahoma's 2 losses, and Oklahoma State also has 2 losses, but Oklahoma State wins the head-to-head. So unless Oklahoma State loses again, it will be Oklahoma State in the championship. And then Kansas State also has 2 losses. They're also in control of their own destiny. There's a couple other teams that could potentially play against Texas. If Texas were to lose one more game, they're out. There has never been a 2-loss team to ever make it to the championship playoffs, ever. No 2-loss teams. And that goes for anything. And we're going to talk about the SEC in a little bit about some hypotheticals. Next conference we have is the Big Ten. I'm not going to talk much about Iowa just because I already talked a little bit about Iowa earlier in the video. But Ohio State, Michigan, both 10-0. Penn State used to be on this sheet. They lost. So they have 2 losses. They're out of contention. They're also out of contention of the Big Ten championship game, and there's no, like, what if X, what if this, what if that. There could be a strong argument of when these 2 teams play against each other. If they keep it really, really close, maybe like a 3-point game, overtime, then you could make the argument and say that team, it could potentially be just as good and could go to the playoff, depending on what happens with the X1s and everything like that. But it's a really strong year, so it's really, really hard to convince the committee to put 2 Big Ten, 2 SEC, 2 of any conference into the 4-team playoff this year because there's so much good football. There's only 2 games left, 2 real weeks, and yeah, and we look at the other conferences, we can see that there is a lot of, like, talent there. Not just like a bad Power 5 conference this year. And then, Iowa's down there. They could potentially ruin everything and upset somebody. Next, we're going on to the Pac-12. We only have 2 real contenders for the playoffs, but I did add 2 players down at the bottom, like kind of like what I did with Iowa, where they could really shake things up because Oregon State plays Washington. They play Oregon. So if Oregon State were to win out, they would play Washington in the championship, and then Oregon would be out. Oregon would be done. Arizona is also controlling their own destiny. They only have 2 losses at the Pac-12. If Arizona gets some help from Oregon State by beating Oregon, there is a chance they're beating Oregon, and Oregon were to lose one more game. There's a lot of very small hypotheticals for Arizona to go to the Pac-12 championship. So there is a chance that they could go, and Arizona's been playing really well, so they could win out, and they just have to hope that Oregon State does some work on these 2 teams. But I don't think that's going to happen just because it's very unlikely, but I put it in there just to, spice up the conversation down in the comments. Just see what you think about the Pac-12. Moving on to the final conference, we have SEC. We have these two players. They are guaranteed bids. I already looked it up. I already saw the stats. They already have the date and time ready to go. It's going to be Georgia versus Alabama in the SEC title game. It used to be 4 when I first started this. Now there's only 2. Ole Miss lost to Georgia. It was a good game until it wasn't. It was a good first quarter, and then Georgia's kind of just like flew to the sky, and then Ole Miss just kind of fell to the bottom. Missouri beating Tennessee, pretty bad, pretty wholeheartedly beat Tennessee. There's no competition in either side. So it's gonna be Georgia, Alabama, and this is where I was talking earlier in the video about hypotheticals. If Alabama were to win the SEC title, then it would be 1-loss Alabama champion. 1-loss Georgia, who's second in the nation right now. I think they're going to actually be number 1 after their beautiful win against Ole Miss. So maybe, because Michigan also beat Penn State, which was also a top 10 team. So those teams could move up and Ohio State could move down. I'm not a predictor of the future, but I could see some changes coming to the top 4. But yeah, so then that'll become the hypotheticals of like Alabama, SEC title winner, Georgia, runner-up, both 1-loss. Texas, 1-loss champion. Say Louisville wins out, Louisville 1-loss champion. That's why I was like, there's a lot of things that need to happen. Like we need Georgia. If you want Louisville in the 4-team playoff, you need Georgia to beat Alabama in the SEC title game, or maybe even Auburn upsetting Alabama because Alabama's already a guaranteed bid to the SEC title game. Auburn, because the FCS team Alabama plays, is not going to win, which is another story for another day about Power 5 teams putting crappy fluff content at the end of the season. So Georgia needs to beat Alabama, or Auburn needs to beat Alabama, and then it'll be a 2-loss team. And then you need Texas to lose in the Big 12 title game, because then it would be Georgia, the Big 10 champion, the Pac-12 champion, and then you could say the 1-loss Louisville to be in there as well, but put them head-to-head with the other 1-loss Big Ten team. But the champions usually are better. So if you really want that, you have to be rooting for Georgia to win out and win the whole freaking thing, because no 2-loss team has ever been to the playoffs. So then there's another hypothetical which I was thinking of in my head. If Alabama were to lose to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, because it's happened before, and then Alabama goes and beats Georgia, that's a 2-loss champion. Will they get the same treatment as Ohio State back in 2017, where Ohio State had 2 losses, but they won the Big Ten title? They finished 5th after the Big Ten title game, and there was 2 SEC teams that made it in. I think they would. I don't think a 2-loss team deserves to be there just because they've had 2 losses. Yes, you're a champion, but you still have 2 losses. You didn't perform in the regular season, so you're not going to get rewarded later. So that's what I think. And if you like this kind of content, please leave comments below if you like this kind of conversations. And that's going to be it. Peace!